The genre we chose for our film is drama and music as it is a dance film. It has typical conventions from films like the Step Up film series and street dance. These include different types of dance, for example, urban, street dance, and ballet. Like other big dance films, we chose to show our storyline through the use of a voiceover, which summarizes the main character's position and what this film will show the audience about them. In our research and planning stages of this course, we found our inspiration from Fish Tank. The beginning scene corresponds with the opening of Fish Tank as they were both taking a break from dance and re-evaluating where dance could take them. Our inspiration from cross-cutting to different characters dancing came from Step Up to the Streets. In the beginning of this film, there are cuts between different street dancers showcasing their talents in different places. We wanted to use this idea, however, we incorporated other styles of dance, rather than sticking with just street dance to attract a wider audience who love different styles of dance. Like most dance films, there doesn't tend to be a lot of dialogue in the beginning because the focus is the characters and the different shapes and styles of dancing each individual character has the gift to perform. We also kept our voiceover simple and short, but with enough depth that our audience can have an idea of what our film is about. We looked at the opening of Step Up Revolution for ideas in how to compose our voiceover. In terms of costume, we looked at various films to get inspiration. We wanted the costume to help exemplify the types of dances each character exhibited. For example, for our ballerina, we looked at Black Swan and noticed that she wore a black tutu. We also looked at Step Up and noticed the ballerinas wearing leotards, so we combined these two together and made our ballerina wear a black leotard. We also made sure to highlight her ballet shoes as well. In terms of our main character, we made him wear a snapback and a t-shirt. This is inspired by Step Up 3D as throughout the film, the street dancers practice in such attire. Similarly to typical dance films, we used various locations in which our characters showcase their styles of dancing. For example, the street art background was inspired by Step Up to the Streets. This highlights the urban tone of our film and the type of dance that would be exhibited in this film.
In our film opening, the main social group which is being represented is age, ranging from 13 to 25 years old. It is clearly evident that the character that looks the oldest has some sort of lead, which can be interpreted through our opening as he was the one who was calling the dancers. Furthermore, the actor who played the ballerina successfully achieved all the conventions attached to a ballerina. For example, we can see that this is a female dressed in the correct attire, and we can also see that she is doing her practicing in a hall of some sort. All the actors in our dance film opening are predominantly teenagers, which gives the convention of street dance being something that teenagers do. However, this could be a contemporary representation. Another group which is represented in our film opening is gender. Both men and women were represented in our film opening, as we are able to see both genders partaking in some form of dance. For example, we can see that nearly all of the dancers who are doing street dance are boys, which will give the denotation of street dancers being boys. In addition, we can also see that there is only one ballet dancer in our film opening, and this is a female. This represents ballet as being a female's dance. Moreover, another social group that is represented is class. In this film opening, we can see two different locations being shown. One is out in the streets and another is in a hall. This gives the insinuation of ballet being a dance of a higher class because it's being done in a hall opposed to the streets or in a park, that is street dance scene in our film opening. As a group, we decided that the best institution to distribute our film would be LIONSGATE Entertainment instead of Vertigo Films, who distribute street dance. This is because they have distributed dance films such as Step Up, which has proven to be one of the most successful dance films, making over $140 million at the box office, in comparison to Street Dance, who made $21 million. From this statistic, we can see that LIONSGATE are a much more successful distributor. We wouldn't go for Universal because they predominantly distribute big blockbuster action films, and this isn't something that would fit our genre, which is a hip-hop dance genre. Therefore, we decided to go for an institution that successfully distributes dance films. If we were to get a big blockbuster distribution company such as Universal to distribute our film, there would not be a big craze in the media because they mainly produce films with an action genre. Our film showed similar conventions of a successful street dance film like Step Up, as there were a lot of cuts between each dancer with one continuous soundtrack playing in the background. I think that our film would be a global release because it is a universal genre, but it wouldn't be targeted at a mass audience because it's not as big as other film genres that do, such as action, which are able to attract such a big audience due to the high demand in action films such as Taken or Batman. We believe that we would target our film at a niche audience because there's only a small select group of people which have a unique interest for dance films.
The target audience for our film opening would be both male and females, as there is a variety of different dances such as ballet and street dance, which would appeal to both genders. We incorporated many different forms of dance in our film opening in order to attract a wider audience. The age range would be from 13 to 25. This wide age range is due to the mass audience this specific genre entices. Dance is also well known as a form of escapism for teenagers, therefore, our film would appeal more to a younger audience. Narrowing our dance genre to just one type of dance would limit us to a niche audience. Therefore, using a variety of different types of dances entices a wider audience. In our film opening, we portrayed a variety of different dances through many different ethnicities. This also works to attract a wider audience as we didn't limit ourselves to just one or two ethnicities. While researching, we found that many dance films, such as Step Up and Street Dance, had an age rating of PG-13. As we took a lot of influence from both these two films, we decided that because of this, the age rating for our film would also be PG-13.
During our research and planning stages, we sent out a questionnaire for many people to fill out. A question included in the study was, what would be your ideal setting for a dance film? The most popular answers we received from that question were in the streets and in the city. We took this information on board and decided to use a street art location as it would attract people who love urban and post-graffiti art, as well as clarify to our audience that such locations would be incorporated in our film. Also, we made sure our characters were young and dressed like the average teenager, as well as incorporate dancers from a variety of backgrounds. This way, the characters could establish a personal relationship with our audience and therefore attract more people to watch our film. Also, the variety of male and female characters helped to attract a wider audience to watch our film. The use of sound and editing allowed us to help keep our audience engaged as well. In our questionnaire, we asked whether people preferred slow, mid, or fast-paced openings. Our response to this question highlighted that fast-paced movie openings were more favoured than the rest. To guarantee this type of pace, we used quick cuts between each scene to help keep our audience attracted and engaged with our film. For our soundtrack, we chose a piece that built up as the film progressed. It started off quite slow and then built up as the credits started and our dancers took the stage. We also tried to have our audio and visuals in sync to make our opening scene more dramatic and compelling, and therefore hopefully attract our audience in anticipating what will happen next.
The camera we used was a Canon EOS 700D. This camera proved to be quite good, especially as it had certain features such as a close-up option in order to film close-ups without it going out of focus. Through these different features of the camera, we learned how to use these different aspects to work at our advantage. We also learned how different angles would help us create an interesting film opening rather than to limit ourselves to mid-shots and long shots, which is a mistake we made at the beginning of filming. Through our research, we found that a lot of the camera shots in dance films consisted of close-ups on technical ability of the dancer, such as their footwork or their posture. We took inspiration from this by filming close-ups of the feet of our different dancers and the posture of the ballerina. Through this, we learnt that we can establish the character through the genre of their dance and their costume rather than filming their whole character in simple shots such as a mid-shot. Another popular camera shot we found in our research was mid-shots. As this was very popular in many dance scenes we had seen, we tried to replicate it. However, due to the simplicity of this camera shot, we tried to limit ourselves to how many times we had used it. However, using these mid-shots allowed for the full movement of the dancer to be portrayed. Throughout editing our film, we learned how to use Final Cut Pro. We had learned how to cut different clips in order to obtain which parts we actually wanted. This is because our film opening consisted of a lot of different cuts from different dancers, and to keep it engaging, we needed short, sharp clips of the dancers cutting to and from one another. To do this, we had filmed our dancers 4 times from 4 different angles in order to maintain continuity whilst establishing different editing effects such as match on action. We also needed upbeat music combined with these cuts to keep the audience interested. Using resources within the software to its full potential helped us a lot to create what we have created, as in the beginning, the little knowledge we had about the software limited us, as it is shown through our prelim task. Sound was a major aspect within our film opening that we needed to get right, as it impacted our film opening the most. Therefore, we learned how to merge different soundtracks together. The soundtrack that we had chosen was 4 minutes long, therefore we had to learn how to cut the soundtrack and edit the sound. We needed to choose the most upbeat parts to try to sync the audio to the visual. Therefore, we cut the soundtrack into 3 parts, separating the intro, the bridge, and the ending, and then cut different parts of the bridge in order to take the most upbeat parts which worked well with the dancers. We then merged these different parts together to recreate the whole soundtrack to sync the audio to the visual. Throughout editing the sound, we needed to edit some of the dancing, as we had to speed up the ballerina's feet and twirls to make it match the music and flow better. Initially, we chose to have big bold text for our credits, as we thought that this would work well with the conventions of this genre. However, we learnt that these big captions take away the attention from the dancing, which is why we chose to almost replicate the title sequence from the movie Step Up, leaving our captions simple, fading in and out while our dancers slowly get introduced during this title sequence. Looking back at our prelim task, we had 4 simple targets to follow, which were to include match and action, shot reverse shot, and the 80-degree rule, and we were still not able to reach these targets properly, which showed us our inexperience with using the camera and the editing software. Therefore, we needed to think about how we would overcome these weaknesses when filming our actual film opening. A key difference between the prelim task and our actual film opening is the shift in the freedom that we had. Unlike the prelim task with shooting and editing our film openings, we were able to have the freedom to express our creativity in whichever way which suited us, rather than following any rules. This helped us a lot, as we weren't confined to following a set brief, which meant we were able to express our creativity exactly how we wanted. It also proved to be very hard, as it was going from having a set of rules that we had to follow to no rules at all and making a film opening straight from scratch. A major weakness that we had as a group was acting. We all got really shy during the prelim task, which showed us that we needed to think about getting actors to act in our film opening rather than each other. This also proved to be quite hard, as this meant that we had to rely on other people and work around their schedule. Using Final Cut Pro was also a little bit of a struggle in the beginning, as we weren't familiar with the software. Therefore, we needed a lot of practice to be able to become comfortable with it. Another aspect that we learnt through our prelim task was creating continuity. Although our opening consisted of many cuts to and from different people, we needed to establish some form of continuity in order to establish a storyline. Our prelim taught us that filming the same thing more than once from different angles helps to create this, and doing this whilst filming our opening helped us to establish continuity.